chapter 11 in order to go back and review an important concept and skill that it's been a while since we did. And this will help us because moving forward in solving proportions, we're going to need to know how to do this. So here's my challenge for you. In your notebooks, I need you to go back into your notes and try and find your notes from chapter 4. Specifically, we're looking for this sheet. Now, hopefully your sheet is filled in with information, but try to find this sheet. So pause the video, go look for that sheet, and then start the video again once you found that in your notebook. All right, so you found this sheet, and hopefully it's bringing back a little bit of what we had to do. So let's start up here. Whenever we were solving these types of problems, the goal was to get the variable or the letter by itself. To do that, we had to pick the inverse operation. We'll get into that a little bit more. And then remember this rule, whatever you do to one side of the equation, you got to do to the other, because we have to keep that equation in balance. And the last thing was that we checked it. We put our answer back in for the letter, for the variable, and we saw if it was right. Well, specifically in this chapter, we're going to focus on these types of equations and solving these types of equations. So let's look at that a little bit closer. Inverse. What does inverse mean? Maybe you have this in your notebook, maybe you just remember it. It means opposite, or, here's a word I think I'm making up, undoes. What undoes something else? Okay, so the inverse of addition is subtraction because subtraction undoes addition. So looking at this type of problem, what are we doing here? 2 times k. What is that? Is that adding? Is that multiplying, dividing, or subtracting? Well, remember, when we have a number and a letter and no sign in between, that is multiplying. So, what is the opposite? What is the inverse of multiplying? The opposite. What undoes multiplication? Hopefully you came up with it. Division. Division is the inverse of multiplication. So in order to solve this problem, we're going to use division. So here we go. In order to get this by itself, we're going to remember these rules. We got to get the letter by itself, and what you do to one side, you got to do to the other side. All right, I think I have an extra letter in there or so, but you understand. So we're multiplying. We already determined we're multiplying. The opposite of that, the inverse of that, is division. So we're going to divide this up into 2 parts, right? What I do to this side, I have to do to that side. You remember that dotted line? It helped some of you. So the opposite is division. So I'm going to divide on both sides. And what do I divide 2k by to get k by itself? What can I divide 2 by to make a fraction equal to 1? 2. And if I divide this side by 2, my rule says I got to do it to the other side to keep it balanced. 2 divided by, or 2k divided by 2, the 2's cancel out, and I get k. 356 divided by 2, well, I can use my calculator to help me figure that out. 356 divided by 2 is 178. Hopefully, this is bringing back some memories of how we did this, right? But the last step is to check it and make sure you got it right. So to check it, I put in 178 to my original equation for k. So 2 times 178, on my calculator, I can do that and see that 2 times 178 is in fact 356, so I did it correctly. I'm going to give you some more examples to work through with the answers, and when you feel you remember how to do this, then you can go on to the homework.